Where do you go looking for God? So, do you feel desolate or isolated from God? And I'm going to ask you a question. Do you know the story of Hagar? So, we're going to get into that today. My name is Heidi Cole. Each morning, I read a short daily devotional to encourage you in God's truth and His Word. My heart is truly for that busy mom, busy woman who doesn't have time each day to turn her focal point back to God. I've been there. There is no place so desolate that you cannot find me there. When Hagar fled from her mistress Sarah into the wilderness, she thought she was utterly alone and forsaken. But Hagar encountered me in that desolate place, and she addressed me as the living one who sees me. Through that encounter with my presence, she gained courage to return to her mistress. No set of circumstances could ever isolate you from my loving presence. Not only do I see you always, I see you as a redeemed saint, glorious, radiant in my righteousness. That is why I take great delight in you and rejoice over you with singing. Hey, Scott, how are you? Okay, so we're going to read Genesis 16, verses 7 through 14. So some of this is the story of Hagar, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit more the background of that. The angel of the Lord, Genesis 16, 7 through 14, I might not have said that. The angel of the Lord found Hagar near a spring in the desert. It was the spring that is beside the road of Shur. And he said, Hagar, slave of Sarah, where have you come from, and where are you going? I am running away from my mistress, Sarah, she answered. The angel of the Lord told her, go back to your mistress and submit to her. The angel added, I will increase your descendants so much that you will be too numerous to count. The angel of the Lord also said to her, you are now pregnant, and you will give birth to a son. You shall name him Ishmael, for the Lord has heard of your misery. He will be like a donkey on a man. He will be a wild donkey of a man. His hand will be against everyone, and everyone's against him. And he will live in hostility towards all his brothers. She gave this name to the Lord who spoke to her, you are the God who sees me. For she said, I now see the one who sees me. That is why the well was called Beer Lahai, and is still there between Kadesh and Bered. Not sure if I'm pronouncing those correctly. Psalm 139, verses 7 through 10. Where can I go with your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise up in the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. And Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 17. The Lord your God is with you, the mighty warrior who sees you. He will take great delight in you. In his love he will no longer rebuke you, but will rejoice over you with singing. Okay, so where do you go looking for God? So I don't know if you know the story, the backstory of Hagar. Hagar was Sarah, Abraham and Sarah's maidservant. And the backstory of Sarah and Abraham, you know that they were promised a baby. God promised them one. But it was many years before they were actually given Isaac as a baby, and she became pregnant. And so Sarah decided that she was going to kind of take things into her own hands, that God maybe, needed her help. And so she had her maidservant, Hagar. She gave him to Abraham so that they could have a child. Well, this is how she became pregnant. And Ishmael was the result of that. And because of that sin in Sarah, we live with that even today, because Ishmael became the start of the Muslim people. And so we know that they are the wild donkey and that there will always be strife against them. We also know that Isaac, Abraham promised Isaac as over the Jewish people. And so here you see the Jewish people and the Muslims, even today, always at odds with each other. But that started because of this sin that Sarah allowed her maidservant to try and get her child because she was barren. But then God blessed her years later when Abraham was 99 with a child, and that was Isaac. Anyway, okay, so that's the backstory. But Hagar, Sarah became very jealous of Hagar, and so she fled into the wilderness. And this is how she wound up in the wilderness. She felt isolated, she felt desolate, and God encountered her. And as it says here, there are no set of circumstances that could ever isolate you from God's loving presence. Not only does he see you always, he sees you as a redeemed spirit, glorious, radiant in God's righteousness. So no matter what we're going through, this maybe we even have sin in our life, God doesn't look at us that way, and we just need to ask him for forgiveness. So God takes delight in you, and he rejoices over you with singing. So be encouraged to know that God is there. He knows whatever you're going through, how hard it's going through, and he delights in you and encourages you to go back and do the right thing. So I hope that you have found value in this, and if you have, then share it with someone you know, and if there's anything I can pray for you, I'd love to pray for you, so DM me. Thanks. Have a blessed day.